Game Methuselah here. It's raining here in LA today, and it botched my day up this morning, so I was unhappy. I came back up here to paint, and then I thought I would make you suffer with a rant, so I shall rant away. I wanted to talk about something I've thought about for a lot of years, had some talk with other gamers, as to why we role play. Um, when I was in college and a struggling college student, I role played for the entertainment, for the fun and frivolity, the fact that there was nothing else to do. It was cheap. Um, the camaraderie was good. The games were fun. It gave me an excuse to paint miniatures, all those things. And I kind of got caught up, started reading about uh, medieval history, ancient history. I started reading a lot of fantasy novels. It helped a lot with my dyslexia because it gave me a great desire to read. And the more I worked at it, the more I read, the easier things got. But as I've got older, it's been a very strange thing. I have been a business professional all my life. I was an outside salesman for almost 30 years in packaging. I did sales management. I've done marketing. I've obviously run my own business. And a lot of times talking to people, someone will come up in the conversation that somewhere they had gamed or, gee, they played D&D. And I'd say, well, yeah, I play D&D. And they would look at me like, you mean you played D&D? And I said, no, I play right now. I play today. In fact, this Friday, I'm going to have a game. And they'd look at me like I had two heads. I mean, they would like, you still play? I said, I've never quit. I've always played. And then I would try to give them some reason and rationale as to why I played. And some maybe understood and some didn't. I said it really became kind of part of my life. And not because I had nothing else to do. I was always busy and I always had other things to go and be part of. But nothing seemed to be more satisfying me than the gaming. The role-playing games with heroic characters and the setting up the moral dilemmas and battling against the dark and evil creatures. Even though I felt that my life was somewhat insignificant, no matter how advanced of a job I did, somehow on those weekends or those night games when we would play, I really felt they had much more purpose. And they were doing a lot more to mold who I am than anything I did in the business world. Yeah, it made me money, but I never seemed to have the level of enjoyment, desire to be involved, desire to be in the game, desire to save the day, that you get the feeling when you game. And, I played a lot of computer games and never saw that feeling until I played World of Warcraft. That was the first one I ever played where I thought there was actually some, as my wife calls it, heart, where I felt I was actually kind of immersed and involved. But really, I find that almost all the time in role-playing games. Maybe not the Murder Hobo events, but surely in all the cooperative storytelling games I've been in. I think I mentioned the one about Maria and the Ancients campaign. Another one that always sticks in my mind is a campaign I ran in Iron Crown, Middle-earth role-playing. Many years ago, we were playing Chartmaster. Rollmaster. Very complicated game system. We enjoyed it. It really was mostly Steve and I, a couple hanger-ons, but you had to be really committed to knowing the rules or you really weren't going to be very effective at it. And we were pretty hardcore. So we were playing 4th Age Middle-earth, dwarves returning to retake Moria. And I gave Steve an opportunity to run the biggest and baddest ass character he wanted to, because it didn't matter. He was never satisfied. So I said, I don't care what your stats are. Make them however you want them, and we'll play. And we did. And I think some of this got handled in Matt's interview with me about how I made up a little cadre for him and things like that. We played for months and months and months. We had some incredible battles, lots of fun, lots of great excuses for miniatures. In fact, I'll hope at the end I'll take a picture of some of the old miniatures that Steve painted for that campaign. It went on. We played a lot. I think we got him. I think Steve was up in the 7th or 8th level by the time we finally came up with what I was doing as a conclusionary campaign. And it was a situation where the dwarves had found out that the evil orcs within Moria had captured all these nobles from all over. Lots of elf nobles, a few human nobles, other races, even halflings, were all being captured and ransomed back for princely sums to their families. And he knew about it and didn't think that much of it at the time because it was just kind of color. But later we find out that there was a bunch of nobles that didn't have the money anymore. Their families had fallen on hard times, or they just couldn't find them. And they were going to execute all the nobles who nobody paid for. And Steve said, no, 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 no. Grimly is not going to allow that. We're going to gather the best of the minions, the best of the NPCs, and we're going to go down into the deepest darks of those oak realms and save those characters. I said, awesome. Okay, we'll do that next week. I sat home, built the adventure, built the staircases and all the chasms and bridges across the lava-filled ravines for his dwarves to fight through the battle. And he did. And it went on, and it was great. We ran an entire evening of him literally battling down to the great hall where the prisoners were going to be fed to some really horrible creature that no one wanted to name. And we stopped, and we said, we've got this big epic battle. We'll start it next time. We'll just get together. So a couple days later, he called me. He said, hey, I'm off royal rigging. Come on down. We'll game. We'll finish up that campaign. And we did. And the battle went on, and it was huge. And he fought his way in, and a couple of the dwarf minions died. And he grabbed the minions. I grabbed the prisoners, the nobles, all these elven females and little princes and stuff, and we're racing them out the door. And it's a running battle ensued. And if you've ever played Middle-earth role-playing Chartmaster, it's super detailed with criticals and stuff. So it was just super, super miniature intensive with all the dungeon tiles laid out, the ones that Matt now owns. And we had built some extra special pieces where he was going across this lava bridge. And at that point, Grimly stopped. And he ordered his minions. He said, take the prisoners out and get them back to their families. I will hold them off. He turned to face the enemy. And I mean, this is an insurmountable enemy. We're talking orcs in the thousands, trolls, and everything else horrible you can imagine. And Grimly stands at the bridge and does the old Gandalf, you shall not pass. And I was wondering, what is he doing? Does he really want to just lose his character at this point? But I know he has a poetic soul, and maybe he wants this, die with a sword in his hand, gallantry at the end. So the battle goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on. And his character is very tough. And he is killing them by the score. And finally they bring up the trolls to fight him. And at some point, Steve's character goes down. And I'm thinking, well, it seemed anticlimactic to me. But I wanted to give him a chance to give his, final heroic last words. So the orc warlord walks up and grabs his dying dwarf by the hair and pulls the bloody mess up and says, what was that, little dwarf? You had no chance. Did you think you could win? And I remember Steve sat there, took a long drag off his cigarette, and looked at me, said, I had no chance of winning. The minute I turned around to face you, I was going to die. But every moment I slowed you down, my minions got farther and farther away with your prisoners to the point that you can no longer terrorize their families anymore. And now they will return, and people will know where you are, and they will come for you. And my death is a very fair trade because you have just lost. And I was stunned. I mean, that was it. It was the moral code you end up acquiring. And I think I've lived my life in that way, or at least try to, for all the time I've been involved with this. A lot of times you get to make lousy decisions. You get a choice of two bad choices, and you try to make the best one you can. And if not the best one for you, at least the best one for the majority of other people around you. And that's hard to do. But I think that in many ways, me playing role-playing for all these years has given me the fortitude to make those decisions. And I'm happy to do so. And I think that that's the thing you acquire, the magic in the game. I remember when Matt recently talked about Black Panther, the movie review he did. And he started to talk about his sick cats and his mom, who passed away recently. Well, not so recently now. And I knew he had the same dilemma I had. He had really difficult choices to make, none of them good. But it's the fortitude that you learn throughout life, the things that happen that make you able to do that. And strangely enough, I have found the vast majority of those to come out of my experience in playing role-playing games. I know all my best friends for the last 20-some, more likely 30-some years, have all come from role-playing. Because I think there's a quality that gets instilled when you get that opportunity to be comrades in arms. Whoever saw the finale of Critical Role saw that and knows that. I think Matt did a video on that as well. It's a great opportunity to no matter what the mundane day in and day out existence of your life is, you get to come home once a week, maybe more, go gather up with your friends and save the day. And that saving the day often, for me, has been the difference in having a really bad week or saying, that was a good week. Everything went smooth. I was able to get all my missions fulfilled. And then I got to save the day. And that made it all worthwhile. Now, I don't know what is out there for you, but I think the point is, if you stick around long enough and you enjoy it long enough, and you find good players and good friends to play it with, you're going to end up feeling that there's much more to this game than just wasting 4 hours of your life pushing miniatures around and rolling dice. And I hope you find that the case. As maudlin as I thought it was. So hope you get a chance to see it. I hope it comes out better than sometimes it makes you feel. But until we speak again and I come up with some cooler game stuff, fight me devils fight, for I hate peace. Everybody have a good afternoon.